you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You should look out the window.
Oh my gosh, knock it off. Are you filming? You better turn that off.
I got her.
You actually filmed that? Ugh.
What's up, guys?
That's the worst thing I've ever seen.
I don't even know what it looked like, so.
Ridiculous is what it looked like.
Alright, come on, we're filming.
I can't, I got wings.
Alright, what's up, guys? Letting the feed catch up here for a minute, so, see? I'm getting some smiley faces. If you like that, throw me a wave.
No.
Oh, Tierney gave me some hearts, so.
Don't even encourage that.
What's up, guys? Hope people are good. What's up, Delano, my man? Mountaineer Marriage is laughing. Everybody loves it. See? All right. Good morning. Good morning, y'all. What's up?
Good morning.
Okay, the feed is good. We're good. Ready? Let's jump in. All right.
Hello and welcome.
Go ahead.
Hello and welcome to Anatomy of Marriage, Marriage Mornings. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
My name is Seth Studley. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and welcome to Monday morning, Marriage Mornings. Somebody says, better be careful, homie took one to the midsection doing that. I saw that. Did you see that?
No.
It was a guy at a fridge, and it was a guy at a fridge doing that, and he was going to scare his wife or girlfriend or something, and she went back and was going to slap him on the butt and went like this. She went
right
and hit him right in the nuts. It was
she thought it was the back
and
of
he
him?
just was like,
oh, that's terrible.
It was really funny.
That's funny
so
though.
I saw it.
That's very funny. Well, okay, so every marriage morning we do 4 things. We do our prayer, we do our gratitude, our intentions, and our questions of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't prepared, so we don't have all of those things
That's
today.
okay.
But we
We're gonna
encourage
go.
you to do them with your spouse. That's why we're doing them together, and we want you to be intentional about your relationships and all that stuff. And today, the question that we're talking about was from a listener. It was sent in, and it's on the phone. I don't have it because we didn't prepare. But it is all about what to do about the idea of noticing someone else when you're married. Make sense? Like, so we're going to talk about that. We're not going to start there. We're going to start with prayer.
Our prayer. All right. Thank you, God, Creator, for your blessings. Thank you for this day and this sun that we're having in Maple Valley. I pray that you protect us spiritually and physically. Please give us wisdom and guidance to help ourselves and to help others. God, thank you so much for your blessings. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thankfulness.
Gratitude.
What am I?
Oh, just say it.
Gratuitous.
Yes, you're gratuitous.
To you for.
Yeah.
I am gratuitous that you.
You don't even know.
I do know that you are fun. You said something yesterday. You said, when we're probably 65, we're probably going to be doing.
No, I said 85. When
85.
We're 85.
We're probably going to be doing, what is that thing that you said? Like we go, like give each other the judo chop.
We
sometimes.
fight over our turn for making coffee. We race to the coffee machine like literally almost every day and pretend to push each other away.
And that's just fun. It keeps it live. It keeps it fun, and I appreciate that and like it. So thanks.
Thank you. My gratitude to you is that you are working on improving yourself all the time, and I find that really, I'm just really thankful for it. Like, you did 75 hard, you work out, you make it a point to prioritize your mental health, your physical health, and I really, really appreciate that.
Good.
So thank you.
It's important in a marriage, and it's important, especially important for yourself. So if you're not okay in your marriage, then your marriage might not be okay. Throw a like up. Thanks. Okay. So what are we going to be intentional about today?
Oh my gosh.
What are we going to be intentional about today?
What about you intentionally don't touch the phone? I want to be intentional about, with the kids, because today is our first day of online homeschool, school, so I don't really know how that's going to go. So I have to be intentional about just staying calm, being grounded, walking myself through that well, because that's really, I struggle a lot with this. Not emotionally, I just literally am I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
So that's hard. But in terms of our relationship, my intentions are today when you come home from work and we do our workouts, to just be as present and fun and celebratory of goodness as I can be.
So, okay, good.
What is yours?
My intention is I have budget stuff to do. I have work stuff to do. A lot of work stuff, emails, notes, etc. Seeing people or talking to people on the phone. What else? Getting stuff lined up. Like I like to try to look at the bigger picture of stuff and condense it down and distill it down. It's like, okay, what can I do right now that's going to lead to the bigger picture? Like I like to think about things, like, okay, how can this moving part go here and stuff like that. So that's part of my intention. And for me to get in that space, I have to be like no distractions, alone, get in the zone. So that's
Nice.
what AutoZone. So that's what I'm
AutoZone,
trying to do. Yeah.
nice. Okay, that sounds lovely. So we encourage you again, do these intentions, these gratitudes, and prayer with your partner every morning.
Hey, I'm seeing a lot of new people on Instagram. What's up, guys? Thank you.
Hello, and Facebook.
Thank you
Hello.
for being here. Hello. Ruby.
And as always, you can ask questions in the feed. Feel free to ask a question anytime. Literally doesn't matter what it's about. Just talk to us.
Yeah.
We love it when you do that. So again, today's topic came from a listener. They sent us an email to us at hello@anatomyofmarriage.com. Actually, no, this one was on Instagram, but it was a long comment saying, hey, I have a friend who's really struggling with they have like a crush on someone they work with, and they are married, and I think they have kids, and they're like, they talk to me about this all the time. They're telling me how they feel so bad because they have a crush on this person, and they're they have a husband and blah blah. And then she was saying she has another friend who's leaving her spouse, like has an actual like a year-long timeline of I'm out in a year, and I'm like just working my way out of my
strategy.
She's got an exit strategy.
Ooh, okay.
And so we want to talk about this idea, which I don't think we've really talked about it in detail on our show, the idea of noticing other people while you're married and what that is like and how we should think about it and how we can manage that. So do you have any thoughts just on the question itself?
On the question itself, well, first of all, thank you for the question.
Yes.
And I would like to normalize this a little bit, that it's not the worst thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, well, not that I think, a lot of people get in trouble, especially Christian couples get in trouble of like, oh my goodness, I'm having, these attractions or noticing other people. And it's not like when you get married,
That goes away.
Like, think about it. If you finally got to go to a really awesome restaurant that you've been wanting to go to forever and ever, and like thought about it, and then finally went to the restaurant, and the restaurant was
Bukhara, Issaquah on Front Street.
right, a delicious Indian restaurant, and you went and ate there. This is obviously an analogy, and you got married, right? And then like, do you not want to go there or go to a different restaurant? Again, I'm not saying like step out in your thing, but you're going to notice other restaurants, and when you walk by, you're going to smell the delicious naan bread, garlic naan bread, or whatever, or a steak, or something like that. So like, it's definitely not unusual. It's not normal, and it's not the worst thing in the world. But I think we've been culturally, I guess, trained to think, oh my gosh, I shouldn't do this or whatever. And that's not true. It's like, there are other pretty women out there. There are other handsome men. Just freaking yesterday, there was this ripped dude jogging on the thing, and Melanie was like, is that Seth?
I thought it was Seth.
Is that Seth? And then just got
'Cause
closer and
we were
closer.
separate,
and it was
we
like,
were jogging.
oh no, he's not that ripped. Oh, okay, he was handsome.
Well,
I
here's
was
the
like,
funny part is I was looking
on.
at him thinking it was Seth because Seth was on another part of the trail, and I was looking at him and I'm like, wow, Seth got a lot more. He's been wearing. I don't remember him wearing a hat, and so I was literally watching this man run. He came around the corner and it wasn't Seth, and I was
Right.
so embarrassed.
And she was staring at him.
Yeah,
She
I really
thought
was. It
me.
was funny. So yes, and so there's a couple things I want to address as we talk about this topic. So the Bible verse, whoever lusts after someone in his heart has committed adultery. That is really a confusing one because you're like, well, I'm lusting, right? So that's something that has kind of caused this really crazy thing in our brains to happen. But there's a few other things that we need to address. One, our evolutionary biology. We are wired to reproduce. We are wired, like, think of a field of flowers. We're wired to pollinate, and I am not saying y'all go pollinate. No, but that is what our bodies are meant to do. And we have to, as if you're a Christian or if you are married and you
want to honor your
you want to
spouse.
honor the covenant you created and the spouse that you have, you don't go pollinate.
Right.
You go, oh, but I know that that's a thing that exists and that's how we are wired, right?
Okay, so this is funny. You talking about like evolutionary stuff is like, oh, I may notice some
Poppies or wild rhododendrons.
I may notice some childbearing hips.
I mean, it's true.
Okay, those are childbearing hips, but those aren't my childbearing hips.
That's
you see what I'm
right.
saying? Somebody says it's just attraction.
Acting on it, that's the issue.
Is
yeah.
another thing. That's the issue, right? So it's not like I'm going to condemn myself or other people or even Melanie if like you notice something like, oh, that maybe that guy is ripped, and if that's your thing, whatever. Or that lady has nice curves, and it's not really the physical attraction most of the time, it's the emotional attraction. There's this great podcast called it's Esther Perel, a therapist.
Where should we begin?
Where should we begin? And it talks about all this stuff, and it's not abnormal. But again, we're not advocating for like stepping out or anything like that. This is a normal part of a marriage. Somebody says, this is so helpful. I've been married for almost 2 years and struggle with this, and I feel like I'm a horrible wife for it. Okay, well, why do you feel that? You know, like Melanie was saying, or in my analogy, okay, once we go to that restaurant, it's like, okay, I've got the restaurant. We shouldn't eat other places, but I can never notice or smell another restaurant ever again, right? But it's acting on it and thinking about it and treating yourself and your spouse differently. That's when we get in the issue.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I want to talk about the idea of what we focus on expands, right? And so just to be really brutally honest, and again, we have not talked about this in real life on our own, so this is awkward.
Hold on 1 second. It's okay to notice other people's attractiveness, but it's not okay to pursue anything with intentions. Yeah. Exactly.
You cut me off all the time. I wish someone would leave a review about that. But anyway, so like the church we used to go to, Mars Hill in Bellevue, I did worship. I led worship. And I was with men all day long, every time I did worship, for hours. And we talked about the music that we liked. We talked about our kids. We talked about blah, blah, blah. And of course, there were people where I was like, he could be a good dad, right? And that's honestly like the thing that attracts me to people usually is like, would they support me and provide for me? It's like caveman, Evo bio, evolutionary biology.
Can who you procreate with
right.
Provide for your offspring?
Right.
I mean, that sounds so scientific and evolution wise, but we're all wired that way.
But what you focus on expands. And when we were at Mars Hill, this is probably 5 years ago, maybe. I literally was like, this is going to ruin my marriage. I don't know what I'm going to do. I never thought I would think these things. I never thought I would feel this way. And I was like focusing on how this would tear apart my marriage. I literally thought about it all the time because I was leading worship all the time with little tiny kids, and this person had little tiny kids, and I was like, I'm a horrible, horrific human. And then I had this switch where I was like, no, I'm just a human. And if I focus on well, first we got to shake some truth on it. That's the thing I thought that your shake the truth wisdom about, I never liked that saying, but I like it.
Right.
Is that person is going to be just like Seth in a million ways, but just a million other ways. We're going to fight about crap. They're going to do things that annoy me. So it isn't, the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is just slightly different, right? So it's the same set of problems, just comes out a different way.
Right.
And so I want you to, if you're dealing with something like this, where you, like, even if it's a specific person that you work with, or like a spouse of your friends, I don't know, shake some truth on it. They are not going to be better than your spouse.
Right.
They are going to have all the most annoying things you've ever thought of. You just don't know it yet. And part of that is that, what is it? The chemical phenylethylamine. That, okay, if you haven't heard that episode, The Science of Love, we have a chemical in our body that does not go away when you get into a long-term relationship. It's called phenylethylamine, and it's the love hormone.
Right.
So if you start being infatuated with somebody, your body is like, yes, go for it, go for it, go for it. And it gives you phenylethylamine, like in big doses, because it's trying to make you make a baby, right?
Right.
That is what it is doing. And so what's happening is you see that person and your body is telling you, yeah, right? But
Yeah.
you've made a covenant, you don't want to do that. And so you have to shake some truth on it. This, what my body is telling me is actually not accurate. And then you have to stop focusing on, oh, it would be so much better if I was with them, or oh, I'm so bad because I want to be with them, and start focusing on what you actually have, improve what you actually have, and then trick yourself into saying, this person is actually not good for me. This would
Right.
tear up my family. How would I even explain this to my parents or my
Right.
kids? Like, make it ugly. Make it ugly to yourself.
Think about the long tail of that, like, and Gary Vaynerchuk talks about like the long tail, like, okay, when we do this, make this business decision or whatever, or he's looking at the culture. Okay, what's the long tail impact of this? So that means, you know, in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, what's the kind of end result of this? So think about the long tail of like, oh, what if I really leaned into that infatuation, attraction to a coworker or whoever else? What is the long tail of that? How would that affect, especially if you have kids, how would that affect my kids? How would that affect my spouse? How would that affect me? And then really, honestly, it leads back to how we do anything is how we do everything. You know what I'm saying? So if I am looking for the short term in so many things, then I'm going to be looking at the short term of an infatuation, attraction kind of thing. And that's not good, right? Like, I have one of my things that I do read every day. Self-discipline is doing the same thing every day with consistency or something like that. I don't know. But if I look at that, like self-discipline, like, okay, if I find myself attracted to a coworker, shaking the truth, yes, that's awesome, yeah. If I find myself attracted to a coworker or someone else, then am I leaning into that? Am I looking forward to going to work, like to seeing them, or like going to youth group, not youth group, or community group or church or something like that? Like, are you like looking forward and anxious to Sundays when you were doing church music all the time? You know, like, oh, you know, if so, you got to be real with yourself. You don't have to like condemn yourself, like, oh, I'm so stupid, or I can't talk about this, I got to keep it secret, because that's when you get in trouble, right? So if you're finding yourself going to that, like, think about the long tail ramification of that, and then think about what you're doing, like, in the present too. Like, first you have to like admit, like, oh yeah, you know, I mean, this happened to me too, and I was like crazy stressed out. I was like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. But like we had talked about it, and then I actually thought about it. I was like, well, it's just,
yeah, and it's normalizing it and reframing it. So one of the things that I think is really powerful is you can understand. So here's a perfect example, and I'm not throwing you under the bus, but I will use. So you have a coworker that we both really like. She's great. She's gorgeous, right? And I remember when you first started working with her, oh, I was so jealous. I was like, you probably are in love with her. You hate me. She's the best. I'm so dumb. She's great. She's tan, right? And eventually, over years, I mean, I hated this woman. I hated that you worked with her. I was so angry about it. But it took me years to be like, I can appreciate. She's beautiful. She's gonna make a good mom. She makes a good wife. Seth can be your friend. End of story. I can calm myself down. I can literally stop freaking out. There's no reason to freak out. And if you can understand that about anybody and appreciate. So, I mean, I have guy friends that I've worked with in different capacities, done music with at the church, that I totally had crushes on. And now I can be like, you know what? Yes, initially I had a crush on you, or I think you're super cute, or you're whatever. I appreciate that you are a good guy. You would make a good dad. I had an attraction. That no big deal. We have to get to the point where we go, like, you're. It's almost like when you shake a soda can and it like goes, right? We are trying to keep the cap on so the pressure's always there, and we're like, I'm gonna explode. Just like acknowledge that you find that person. You don't have to acknowledge to your spouse. I'm not saying like, I have a crush on, right? Don't do that necessarily.
Also, it would be dangerous to tell the other person.
Yeah, don't ever do that. That is very
At
unwise.
least I think. Maybe I might be wrong about that, but I think that that's not right.
I don't think it's right at all. I think you would plant a seed of no goodness.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, like, let us get to the point where if you can acknowledge that, oh, that person is attractive, I do like to be around them, they, I have these feelings when I'm around them, but I am not going to act on them. I'm not going to obsess over them. I'm not going to do anything that would make a relationship outside of what I've made a vow to. And get to that point, I think we would be a lot more stable and a lot more healthy as a culture around all of this kind of thing. I am not saying you should have opposite sex friends or whatever. What am I trying to say? Like I shouldn't be hanging around with a bunch of dudes. That's not wise. Because again, evolutionary biology will tell us y'all are gonna get together. Like that's just how it works. And we can either pretend that's not real and be like, oh, I should be pious, or we should be wise about it. Something else I was gonna say. Our kid just woke up.
Hey, Nixon.
Hi, buddy. But I want us to think about it in those terms. Like, shake truth on it. You're gonna have these feelings. It's not the end of the world. We don't need to act on them. We also don't need to be like that cooped up bottle.
But people are so weird, and us included, that this can be really misconstrued. Like,
what do you mean?
If like two coworkers are kind of flirty towards each other and like they like that, then you're messing with the wrong thing. That will get you in trouble. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, I just thought of a Bible verse that, like, to rouse a man's anger or something.
Anger, the one where you like fight with the.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember exactly. Like, you can also get in dangerous territory because people are crazy, and we were crazy, and it's like, oh, like you could have gotten really weird about like this whole thing, right? And I could have gotten really weird about like. What? You're attracted to other
You mean
things?
Right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, well, in the past.
Okay.
Like, oh, what the H, you could have done all this stuff.
What the H?
Yeah, but we didn't, and I think that, like, things have to be really solid in the marriage first, because Esther Perel, that other therapist, talks about, like, infidelity and stepping out is never really about the physical stuff that happens. It's not about the physical affair. It's about the emotional and the relational connection there. Hey, Hattie.
You think you're going to get your needs met with somebody else.
Here, we're doing it live, sweetheart.
Hey, watch out, sweet.
That's where it is. So I say, like, yeah, people are crazy, and it's like, oh, physical stuff, but it's meeting an unmet need. Like, if you were crazy and were crazy for a long time, and like I had other people
interests,
that were close to me, like in the work capacity, and they were like showing attention, and I was like getting that emotional need met, then it's going to be way easier to be like, see you later. If you're all like super prickly and just cold, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had like couples clients over and over and over where both of them were just like, I'm not meeting anything, I'm not listening to anything you say, and then of course, like an affair happened or somebody stepped out, is like, yeah, no wonder. I had this one client, and oh my gosh, and she finally did step out, and I was like, I completely understand, because her husband was a jerk, like just a huge. This was in private practice, so nobody knows what I'm talking about. But oh my gosh, and I was not surprised whatsoever. And in our sessions, we were able to normalize stuff, and I think they finally called it quits. But it wasn't because she stepped out. I mean, it was to him, but I'm like, come on, dude, you got to open your eyes here.
Yeah.
So it's so much more of the emotional and the relational connection kind of thing. So.
Well, what I would say is, I would ask yourself, what is the need that you're wanting to have met? And for me, in the different people that I've found attractive or whatever, there wasn't necessarily, it wasn't a need that I wanted met. It was literally like what is the chemical again? I forgot it again.
Well, a lot of oxytocin or whatever. It's like thinking about this.
What's the chemical called though?
Phenylethylamine.
So, but please don't cut me off.
Oh.
So it was literally feeling that phenylethylamine and being like, I think I'm supposed to do something, right? Like it was like a trick. It was almost like a trick. And that's what, please stop waving at people every time I talk. I'm going to cry. So the hardest part about it is that it wasn't like Seth is ignoring me. He's not a good husband. He's not a good dad. It was like, I'm feeling something. And that's all it was. And it was chasing a feeling. Just like I would have a feeling if I saw a chocolate cake, right? Do I need to eat them all? No, I can eat the one that I get. But it was, so that's the hard thing too. Is that,
how about this? So everybody knows I love scones, and I have a love affair with scones and French
you just
pastries.
need to make a clothing line, scones. Yeah, you like scones
Patty likes scones too. Word up, word girl. And say that I was asking for scones or just needing scones in this
scones.
relationship, and Melanie had every capability to make perfect scones and all this stuff, and I was like, please, can you, and she was like, whatever, ignoring those needs. And every day I would drive by a delicious bakery and smell the smells, right? Who wouldn't eventually be like, this is an innate need that I have, the scones are there, she's not doing anything. You know what I'm saying? But it's not on a physical level, it's on a relational level. So that's where these things start. So noticing other people is inherently not bad. You notice a pretty flower on the side of the road. Come on, people, get real. Right? You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Do you condemn yourself for that? No. But do you go pick and pull and cut every single flower you see? No.
Yeah.
Because you got flowers at home.
Yeah, and I think the more we can normalize, but not normalize to accept and embrace, but normalize to be like, everybody thinks and feels these things. Literally everyone you know has thought and felt the thing you're feeling. It's about what we choose to do with that behavior. Right. So I can sit at home every day and eat junk food and never exercise, or I can get up and exercise and do the hard work of doing the right thing that gets me where I want to be. And one thing I did want to say too, excuse me, is that I want you to use relationships around you as evidence and almost like scientific studies that you can glean wisdom and knowledge from. So how many relationships of people do you know where one spouse left to be with someone else worked well? How many of those are really great and successful? What? Oh, shut the scone factory down. That was funny.
That is really funny, Shirley.
But I want you to think about how many people, I had friends that I was when we first got married, and the husband was a touring musician, had a little kiddo, and left his wife and had another kid. Do you know how great that is for everyone? It's not. It's terrible. So if you play it out and you've seen it in different relationships, just look at how it impacts them. It is not great. It is not good. Your phenylethylamine lies to you. It is trying to trick you into making more humans. Don't let it trick you. Shake truth on it and be smarter than your feelings. But know that they're there. Don't ignore them. Also, don't make them like the God that you bow down to. You do not have to obsess over this person. Figure out how to tamp that all down, accept it, understand it, acknowledge it, and be normal about it. Make sense?
Right.
Normalize. Be normal.
Normal that.
Because it isn't as important or tragic or strong as your body is telling you it is. That's a trick. It is literally a trick.
Our minds and bodies, our biology are tricky things. Tricky! She says, there are a few days each month where biology's pull.
Oh, yeah. Is strong. In those times, I believe I could make beautiful babies with any man who looks at me. But it's the knowledge that my body is in that fertile state, that knowing those feelings will pass, that makes me wiser. Be smarter than your feelings. That's exactly right. That's a great point, because there is a time in your cycle where you're like, all right, my uterus is engaged. Fallopian tubes are guns, right? And it really does. It makes your brain just any man that looks like they could provide for you, you're like, ooh, I see that. But that does not mean I love that man, that he would make my life better, that I would ever give up what I have for that person. But knowing that your uterus and your ovaries are trying to trick you, they're making little things for you to trip
Aaron
on.
says, be smarter than your feelings. And that is 100% true. And you said something, your feelings don't have a brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Christy Wright said that on a thing. She was like, your feelings don't have a brain. Stop listening to them. They are not smart. Your feelings are not smart.
In some capacity. We're not saying shut down all feelings, of course. But Aaron, that is really funny, because I notice there are times in the month where we're together more, right? And it's
just kidding.
And it's because it's that biology thing, and it's really interesting. It's even we're gonna get real here. Even like just different smells and touches. It's like pheromone kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like we have deer and elk in the backyard, and they are biological animals, obviously, just like us. And it's really interesting to watch them and be like, oh, there's a lot of wisdom in just watching them, and then being able to understand ourselves in a new way, which is good because it's not condemning. It's not like, oh, I'm so stupid, or like, why would I even think this? And it's normalizing, in a sense, right?
Well,
and I'm not just saying this like, I'm thinking of that song, the Bloodhound Gang, You and Me, Baby, Ain't Nothing But Mammals.
Oh gosh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Remember that song?
Oh, I hate that song.
But I'm not talking about it like that, but I am talking about it to some degree. But obviously, we do have dominion over our thoughts.
Well, and before we close, one thing I want to say too is that we have to understand that we are evolved creatures more than like a whale, right? Or a
What's up, Abby?
lizard, like we do other things. But we still have essentially two brains.
A whale or a lizard?
I'm saying we're people. We can talk. We can build things. Like we're an evolved species. But because we evolved a brain on top of the lizard and the like old, what is it called? The like
brainstem,
the
amygdala.
brainstem, amygdala stuff. So we have all of the like animal brain is all there. So things like scent and like all of what are the other things you mentioned? Like
scent,
the time that a woman is in her cycle. That all of that stuff is still there. We have this cognitive brain on top of that, our thinking brain. So our thinking brain, we have to use the power of the thinking brain to kind of quiet the instinctual mammal monkey brain thing. But that does not mean that this does not exist.
Let me give you an example. If you think that the power of pheromones and scent is not a thing, so... And all you women can identify with this, and I learned this a long time ago.
All you ladies.
All you ladies. In situations, usually in dorm rooms, where there are a large collection of women, when they're around each other long enough, they start to get their cycle at the same time. Now, how do you explain that? At the same time, like, oh,
we don't plan it out.
You don't plan it out, right? It's a natural biological thing. It's like, oh, if we all get pregnant at the same time, there's safety in that, right?
We can help
we'll
each
all
other.
go through this in the same time. The babies will come at the same time during the spring. I'm thinking of like animals and stuff. And then we'll be good, right? There's protection in that. So no female goes to college and goes, all right, when I'm in a dormitory with all these ladies,
come September,
we start having periods at the same time. That's not a thing.
It's not how it works.
which is crazy. So hopefully this has been some wisdom dropped. I don't know. I love having these conversations from a biological, from psychological, and from a therapeutic point of view, and a real point of view, like a lived experience, right?
Yeah.
And to normalize this stuff. So. Thanks. Hey, Abby, let's see. Now I'm imagining a whole dorm of women getting pregnant.
At the same time.
That'd be crazy.
Which sounds awful.
I know.
That would be really awful.
That would be funny. Hey, tell Clay I said, what's up?
It's funny to think of, though, like doubling the population in a dorm room,
Right.
just walking around with humans.
Okay, so we got to wrap this up. A couple of plugs. We always advocate for reading books. Go to audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage to get your free ebook on us. Audiobook. It's awesome. We read books all the time. Okay. Also, with all this uncertainty stuff, also you can go to
getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage.
Yes, getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage to get a real counselor, a licensed therapist that you can text, that you can have phone calls, that you can have as many appointments as you want to get real help. I wish I could do it more to talk to you guys and help as much as I can. I can't, I don't have time, but go to getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage to start that process. That's awesome. And both of those things, obviously we're affiliates, that helps us out. And
lastly, go do all of these things together. So do your prayers with your partner, do your intentions and your goals. What not goals, gratitudes. Do them together. I encourage you. This is really, really helpful. Have the conversations that we have every day. Talk about these things. Get them out in the open in little tiny doses where no one is angry. People aren't fighting. It's so helpful. And lastly, go get the Get Your Marriage On app and do your conversation starters. We have hundreds of conversation starters to bring connection, and we want that for you. The last thing we want to say is that tomorrow we will be talking about building friendship in marriage and ways to do that and how to encourage that, because that's another like dopamine thing that's helpful to make all those other emotions go away for other people. So anyway.
All right.
Whoa.
We're also going to be doing a bunch of lives tomorrow. We're going to do our marriage morning. Then we're going to go live with John Deloney and Anthony O'Neill, both Dave Ramsey personalities. So be sure to catch that. Tune in tomorrow. We love you guys. Heidi, you got anything to say?
No.
Look at the camera.
All right.
I got a switch for my birthday.
She got a switch
that's
for her
good.
birthday.
All right.
A teal one. Okay. We love you
All
guys.
right. Have a good day, guys.
Have a good day.
Keep it real. Bye.